Letting people in there. All right, welcome everyone. Hey, look, it's Bill.
Hey,
How's it going, Bill?
Yeah,
Bill
happy
Monroe's over there.
Saturday. Happy Saturday.
Saturday. Oh, Bill,
All
I
right,
see
happy
your
Saturday.
face.
Hey,
There's multiple Bills here. We have a Bill Monroe.
Oh,
We got
Bill
a Bill
Monroe.
Magnuson.
All right.
Bill Monroe. Okay,
I
nice.
have to mute myself though because I'm typing again. So
He's clickety clacking. He's always clickety clacking over
Hey,
there.
Bill.
how are you, David?
I'm really good. Really great. I'm very grateful. I'm feeling good. My body's feeling good.
Good.
Just-
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a new experience over the past 6 months, so I'm really digging the heck out of it.
Good. Yeah, you look like you're up and around today.
Well, as up and around as I get, my energy's getting more and more and more and more. The life-saving poison took a lot out of me, but
Yeah.
now I can restore, and I can feel the energy coming back. It's really good.
Good. That's awesome. That's a good place to be in.
Yep.
A much
That's,
better for sure.
Yep.
Should we get rolling here? Should I give a little intro
Let's
and
get
we'll
rolling.
introduce our guest? All right, very good.
Absolutely. Hey, welcome everybody to Tech Radio Hour. Thank you for being dedicated, members of this community. And I see it as a community. I feel it as a community. And Ethan, why don't you do the sponsorship introductions and the just initial introduction of our really honored guest, and
All
then
right.
I'll take over.
Sounds good. All right, so just up the top here, we just remind you that Piano Tech Radio Hour is being brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, an online educational resource that offers you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at www.pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. Don't forget, we've got the world's first online piano tech convention coming up here, December 10th to 12th. Make sure and register for that. And later today, we've got an awesome Turbocharging the Grand Action Masterclass with Jude Reveille. And I'm pretty sure I completed the setup for this. If you register for the convention today, before Jude's class, you should be automatically registered for that class. So it's a really great value. That's a nearly $300 class if you were to purchase it individually. And we'd love to have you come join us and check out what he's up to. And it's promising to be quite well. I just showed David a little preview of some of the pre-recorded footage that we had.
It's amazing. And Jude, really, really excellent at what he's going to teach in this masterclass. He's just very simple, very clear about touch weight and about how actions work. It's amazing.
So we'll cut over here to our guest for now. If we have a chance, I might show you a preview clip from Jude's content, but we're going to focus from here on for a while on Issac Sadigursky, a household name in the piano tech community, I would probably say.
Yes.
A veteran of the PTG, and he's been in it for decades of years. And I'm going to hand it over to David to give a little bit more specific introduction, because I think you know him a little bit better. And then we'll have a chat with this fine fellow. So tell me a little bit about what you know about Issac, David.
Well, Issac came to this country, I believe, in the late 60s, early 70s. You can correct me, Issac, if I'm wrong.
74.
Huh?
74.
74.
Mm-hmm.
And grew up his life in the Soviet Union, now Russia.
Right.
And came here, was a musician and a music student, learned how to work on pianos. I can't remember whether he started learning in Russia or not, but he certainly expanded his knowledge here, joined the PTG early, and has just been a great piano technician ever since. He's had his own kind of practice. He's, you know, as most of you know, he has a van that's like a mobile piano shop. He's got, you know, tools in there and drill presses and stuff. It's crazy. And that's the kind of practice he has. And that's the part of the beauty of the piano tech community that we belong to. Issac has a totally different piano maintenance practice than I do. We live in the same city, basic urban area, Los Angeles. We both have been relatively successful, and we both love what we do. And we do, of course, some of the same things, but a lot of things that I don't do things that he does, and he doesn't do things that I do. And it's just beautiful. And Issac is not only a really good piano technician, who's a really good teacher as well. He's just a good guy. It's an honor to have a human be a colleague of mine in our little community. He's one of the ones that make it good. And most are human beings. It's kind of an extraordinary community, and Issac is a founding member of it. So thank you, Issac. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored and humbled by being invited. So please bombard me with questions, or what would you like me to talk
Can you tell us how you fell in love with pianos and how you pursued this craft and why?
Well, I was a trained musician in Russia. I was lucky to be accepted to a music school at age 5. So born in 1947, we are talking about a long time ago, and studied their music seriously, from accordion to clarinet and all that, trained musician. And one of the big mistakes I did in my life is with intensive study of solfeggio back in Russia, most of my classmates had developed pitch recognition. That's what uneducated people call perfect pitch. There is no such thing. But it was called perfect pitch. And I was under impression that having perfect pitch, being able to recognize notes on the radio or in live on pianists, in any symphony orchestra instrument, I'm totally qualified and ready to become a piano tuner. Big mistake. And I tried to learn the craft back in Russia, and it was impossible to do.
Why were you so curious about it?
What do you say it again, David?
Why were you so curious about working on pianos? Why were you so motivated?
Well, one thing, I'm a pretty mechanical guy. In Russia, you learn to fix almost anything around the house because that's the nature. You can't find stuff in stores, and you better do it yourself. Many guys just learn to do it. So I was pretty mechanical there. I was able to fix my accordion, fix my clarinets, and I thought about a career of being a musician in the United States, and I knew it was a tough road, and plan B wouldn't be so bad. Also, I married a marvelous pianist. And I thought, well, we'll do it. We will skip the middleman. We will do it. I will be tuning her piano. And again, big mistake. It was impossible to learn it in Russia, except piano majors had a course, 2 semesters in piano maintenance. It was great. Future pianists could learn basic stuff about piano, basic stuff about piano acoustics. And my wife had to attend it. And me, a clarinet player, I was not required to do that. But chasing a pretty girl, I followed her. I signed for those classes. And it was a door opener for me. And well, I tinkled around with her piano, somebody else's piano. And as the myth goes, piano tuner in the beginning of their career messes so many pianos up that they have to pack and move out of town. So it happened to me. I messed up a couple of pianos and moved from Soviet Union to California.
Wow.
Uh,
And so when you got here,
right.
how long did it take you
Yeah.
to start
I
working on
tried to
piano?
find employment, and I couldn't speak English, as what you call in the folk language FOB, fresh off the boat. No
Yeah.
English skills, nothing, absolutely. And eagerness to provide for the family. We had 2-year-old daughter when we arrived in Los Angeles. I knocked on a few doors, and of course I could not communicate properly, and nobody will hire me. I went through the club of all the Jewish boys, the piano dealers in Los Angeles, David Abel and David Safir, and you name it. Nobody will hire me. Until my lucky day happened. I was hired by Bill Finnegan, a wonderful Irish man. He had 3 piano stores, and somebody asked him to give me a chance. And I started working there without knowing nothing about pianos. And this was my start. The old rule the old guys were telling about secret of learning is a rule 2-to-1. So 1 mouth, 1 tongue, and 2 ears. Listen twice as much as you talk, and don't talk back. Just try to do something which worked for some guys for years and repeated 87 times and many hundreds of times on pianos, and then you can develop your own way if you're so smart. And in those rebuilding plays where Bill Finnegan had, we would recondition, trade in pianos. And there were hundreds of those. Plus, he was distributor for Aeolian products, and huge trucks will come once every 2-3 months, and we will unload those pianos. I learned how to move pianos too. And then pianos will be distributed to Bakersfield, Santa Barbara, San Diego, all the smaller dealers who sold Aeolian product. But Bill Finnegan was the distributor. So there were hundreds of pianos. A huge 16-wheeler will bring 320 pianos, storing Clarks and the Aeolians, you name it. So it was a lot of work. But all the work there, with the migration after the Big Depression happened in the Western direction, and many guys who used to work at the factories in the old days, in the 1920s and 30s, migrated to Los Angeles, and we had some great guys who had factory experience, and they were proud of it, and they shared a lot of stuff. But one disagreement we could have is what you do at the factory is totally different in the field. In the field, we can deal with older pianos, dilapidated pianos, and at the factory, mostly new stuff. So in the same direction, if young technician works at the dealership working exclusively on a brand new pianos, once he quits and goes into the real world, he's not prepared to work on older acrosonics, old beat up operates people cherish so much. So we all have different styles of work. And again, I saw brand new pianos, I saw used beat up pianos, and in need of doing cheap and dirty repair real quick because the truck is coming to get it out, and so on. Also, working for a dealer, I was able to watch what happens to those pianos and those repairs after a few months, after a couple of years. And it's
see if you did good
work and what doesn't last. So did they make long story longer?
Yeah, that was nice and long. I mean, we're we're
Yeah.
about over. So folks, we're going to sign off now and no, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. I
Yeah.
want to,
So,
David may have something to throw in, but I want to, there's a couple of comments that came in the chat here and we can talk about them or not. One is from Cy Schuster. He said, very few people have made every single one of their own tools as Isaac has done. That sounds fascinating to hear about. And I think you'll probably be talking about tools when you do your convention class as well. The other comment, which was privately to me, so nobody else saw this, he said, ask him to talk about the famous jar. He bailed me out. This is Jim Kelly. He bailed me out when I needed a brass whip and flange on a Chickering quarter grand. Do you remember?
What? Yeah, I like to modify tools, and sometimes working with them, you can see the shortcomings, and it's nothing wrong with it. I make it work better for myself, and I shared all this in my classes at the PTG conventions. Regarding the Chickering brass flanges, again, working in those early days on older pianos and watching what happens to the industry, and many manufacturers went out of business and many parts are obsolete. And coming from the Soviet Union, where we were not used to throw away anything, when I see old Chickering ready for a dumpster because pin block is all shot and not economical to replace or to rebuild this piano, I save some obsolete parts. Especially Chickering has brass parts you can't find. At one point, Schaff tried to make those parts, and probably machinist didn't have enough coffee that morning, and those parts didn't work. You buy Schaff-made parts from the 1990s, and you will be struggling. So you're better off finding a piano where brass parts don't crumble and save those. And we can have 2-hour-long class on how to save parts from junked pianos, what you might need in the future. And those parts might not take too much room. So when it comes to brass flanges from those Chickering pianos or Kimballs, if you have a chance, save them. It's not only for you, but for your neighborhood, for your colleagues in the area. People talk about how to acquire clients, and they will go into, well, piano teachers are good resource, this and that. We forget other tuners when younger guys, without having a luxury of a home and a shop, are in need of parts, and they can recommend you. Again, at this age, I'm not looking for extra work, but it's nice to help fellow technician, younger one. Piano movers get in trouble all the time. Something happens, and quite often they are accused of something they didn't do. Most of the piano movers in the area are my friends. They knew that they would come to me and say, listen, I have that broken part. Can you help me? And I helped them out with that broken part. And more referrals can come from piano movers than from teacher.
oh, many more.
But
I have
movers know that you are capable of doing it, or you have that part, you are the man. I had a call from a gentleman out of a blue sky, 70 miles away. He does warranty work for insurance companies. I mean, the guy needs to have a private helicopter. He flies, he goes from all over. David, you know the distances, Santa Maria to San Diego. He covers insurance companies, wonderful woodworker. He needed hidden hinges, the ones that are used on the player pianos. I had them. Even it was not far from me. I went there, installed them. He was so grateful because 15 lawyers were after that insurance company, after the movers. For the past 30 years, and he refers me to any job, just did one 2 weeks ago. So the bottom line is, if you have some stock of needed obsolete parts, or average furniture maker doesn't have piano related part, and you have it, you have access to it, you have referrals, you have friends, and this gentleman covered me a couple of times on the touch-up jobs. So that's how the world works.
I got another comment here from Carl Lieberman, who's also in your area. He said, Isaac, please talk about our common teacher, David Safir. And is this a relation to Kurt Safir? I mean, I remember that was like a piano dealer. No, they're different people.
No. There was a Syrian Jewish man who lived some time in Israel. He migrated to Los Angeles. He had training in pianos, and being very entrepreneurial, he opened his piano store, which grew up to enormous rebuilding facility. And quite a few tuners worked for David Safir. Carl started his career. I believe Carl's mom was his bookkeeper. Carl, is that correct? Oh. And again, after working a couple of years for Bill Finnegan, I sort of gained a reputation. Oh, this guy can fix almost anything. And I worked simultaneously for 3-4 piano dealers. To tell you that there was animosity among them, no. They were helping each other. The salespeople on the floor were fighting to make a sale. But those guys had brains to keep in touch with each other and cover for each other and find needed merchandise if client has something. I mean, we live in a fantastic time when everything is on the computer. You can get anything from Junkman and from other dealers in terms of inventory. In those days, I had witnessed those older guys, the old school, talking to each other. Hey, David, do you have this? I need that. And they were cooperating. They were a great generation of honorable guys. So David Safir operated in Los Angeles for many years until he had developed some severe health condition. He was a chain smoker, 3 packs a day, nonstop.
Oh.
And he died, I believe, in mid-90s. But the experience I got there, they were selling dozens of pianos a month, and they were totally refurbished and rebuilt. And I followed pianos which were partially rebuilt. For instance, piano will be restrung with a new pin block and old A-graphs left.
Wow.
A couple of years later, A-graph will pop up and they will send me out to fix it. That's how I started my love affair with the A-graphs, and my nickname in the community was Isaac Agrafsky. But I thought,
well, and I should say that Isaac has been repairing broken A-graphs on all my clients' pianos for 30 years, Isaac, would you say?
yeah, just about. What, only 30 years since you got in trouble, David?
And just now, he's teaching my partner slowly, because removing and replacing A-graphs is not for the faint of heart.
What
And
was the first timer?
yeah, so Isaac's been my guy for that for forever. I can remember. Okay, go ahead.
What I had followed is why the A-graphs break on the freshly rebuilt pianos. And the answers came up pretty clearly from more experienced technicians. And I ended up giving a 3-hour class at the National Convention, I believe in 1987. And what I followed up after David Safir rebuilt pianos is they were all refinished. And I had followed pianists like A.B. Chase and Chickerings and Knobbies with verdigris problem.
Really?
The only thing that Steinway had that notorious thing. I saw the way those pianos were refinished at David Safir's place, where the case was literally dumped in the stripper and soaked with all the chemicals to strip the old finishes. And just last week, I saw Chickering 1916 refurbished at his place, and jacks, weapons, and hammers are all frozen with the verdigris. So go figure.
Wow.
Yeah, watch it out, guys. When you refinish pianos, what you use and what is the effect. You can see the effect only about 10, 20, and 30 years later.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm getting here. Yeah, Jim Kelly just followed up here. I'm just checking the comments here. He says he's just following up with what you said about this. You have a large coffee jar with parts in it. You pay the postage, take what you need within reason, and send it back. He is a very generous tech.
Run an honor system. I send those parts to the guys, and again, choose whatever you want and send it big. I started to listen to my wife. She begs me to downsize, to clear up the garage. Since I put all my stuff in a 3-car garage, it was never swept. But well, one of these days, maybe I'll give you a tour of my shop. I have 37 file cabinets filled with parts, and they are classified in a very simplistic way. I have a couple of file cabinets with parts for grand pianos, 2 or 3 of them for vertical pianos. One is totally dedicated to pedal parts, another one to cabinet parts, and so on. So I can live another 350 years and will never use up that stuff. And I made it open to the community. The guys can come, take it. The best example is if there is a broken pedal, I have 2 file cabinets filled with salvaged pedals. So if somebody needs, let's say, the left pedal to be replaced, they can take 2 buckets with left pedals, take it on the site, see what works, and what client likes. That's the most important, what mama likes cosmetically. And then do the installation. Replacing just 1 broken pedal saves you enormous amount of time instead of replacing all 3 of them. 3 times as much work. Okay, and then if time will permit, I just brought one little set of tools to modify the pedals in case of if you have to replace it on vertical piano, you can do it without a tilter. Very simple.
You have it with you?
I have it right next to me because first we wanted to do the transmission from my garage. But
Well, do it.
You're in the bedroom, don't tell my wife.
Show us how you use it.
Okay. Well, let's say you have a pedal, you found a good replacement one, and here is the pin, which is friction held, correct? So in order to get it out, to put it inside the vertical piano through the small square opening, you have to knock out the pin, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you smack it with a hammer, you're going to leave little nicks on either side of the pin. So to get it out safely, about 30 plus years ago, this little gizmo was sold at the conventions for about $40. A blind tuner from Carolinas had son-in-law, a machinist, and this son-in-law made that tool. So if you insert the pedal inside that opening, you can push out the pin very safely, effortlessly. All right. Now the pin is out.
Hold it up a little higher, brother.
Okay, now the pin is out. This is the tool. It's a machine tool. Okay.
And you just put the pin.
It pushes the pin out. All right.
Got it.
Now you install the pedal. You take this tool inside on your knees, and you can push it in. Correct. Done. But there is a much simpler way to do it. Let's say all 3 pedals need to be replaced. So 3 times as much work. Again, it's common practice for guys to carry the tilter and bring it to the client, and then you can bump the wall because it's not enough space and all that stuff. Here is a simple technique. If I mark the top of the pedal right in the middle and right above the pinhole, mark hole, drill a hole, and tap it. Now I can install 2 screws on top of the pedal, so nobody will see it from the outside, and client doesn't care, and God will understand. You got it? So now the pin goes easily in and out. So when the pedal is inside, I can put the pin in, tighten the screw. Tighten the screw on both sides, and now it's going to be tight. It will never come out.
So you drilled a hole through the top, and did you also widen the hole that the pin goes through? Or
2 ways to go. You can widen the hole, or you can take the pin and knurled part to the grinder and grind it off. It takes 7 seconds. Either way. So
very
to
cool.
be efficient, I have that box, and every part of that job is here. Here are a couple of punches to make the mark. For 6 32nd-inch screws, there is a drill bit, and the tap corresponding to it, and a bunch of those screws. And everything is held on a very strong magnet, so there is less chances to spill. And in this department, there are 8 32nd screws. So if I need this or that, T-handle to do the tapping, extra pins, lubricant, you're all set. So the whole idea of the class I'm going to give about being prepared and putting together kits for specific jobs is, this is a good example. Everything I need for that operation, I have in that computer, in the file drawer, in the cabinet drawer. It comes out, no setup time, just there. Every ingredient is here, done. 3-time drilling, 3-time tapping, put it back, no cleanup time, done. And if you go to the client with 3 pedals with pre-modified hole, you walk like a hero, and you do it 7 times faster than the average guy who still does it the old-fashioned way, with the tilter, with the schmilter, with the big Hollywood production. You don't need it. And if you think I'm very smart, you are making another mistake, because this was originated by late Herman Coffert, member of South Bay chapter. Carl and David remember Herman. He was excellent mechanic, and he showed that somewhere in the 1970s, and I adopted that system. The only thing I did is organize them, because I always remember the the definition of inefficiency is when the waiter makes 2 trips for salt and pepper. So if we are,
Hey,
we will end up making some money and delivering service, because majority of our customers want the hell out of the house. They don't want us to stay overnight or have dinner with them. Just do your job, give the bill, out. And usually it happens, if you know that stuff, that they are tired of a couple of guys who tried to do it or escaped the job or ignored it. And especially after piano movers broke the pedal or do-it-yourselfers, they want to have it fixed. So this can
Very
be
good
applied
point.
to brand new Yamaha replacements and Kawai, anything in production today with the pin. You can adopt that system. If I can do it, you can do it, guys.
I'm going to cut in right here
Hey,
real quick.
listen.
Just, yeah.
yeah, please.
Well, I was just going to tell people watching on YouTube, Facebook, now's about the time we're going to cut off the live stream there. We'll stay on Zoom. So if you want to join us, we put a link in the chat of those platforms and you can hop into the private Zoom call. I just want to let people know about that. Was there something else, David, that you wanted me to check in about?
Just if there was any other comments or questions from the peanut gallery.
I don't have any other comments or questions. I know.
All right, then I'm going to ask Isaac a question.
Sure.
How has your particular practice changed in the last 2 decades?